Good day everyone, my name is Anders and I'm from the Charlestown Club. Welcome to Advanced Music Production. This week's topic is going to be going over mastering. What is mastering? Why is it important? Well, people get paid to do mastering in professional studios as well as home studios, and mastering is really the process of finishing your track, adding the final polish, the final processing. That includes equalization, compression, even doing things like saturation or changing the color of your mix. Last video I went over mixing, and this video is doing the final process called mastering. So, let's get started.
Really bad allergies. The people with the allergies are really lucky, cause every time it's fun time.
Now, if you're thinking that number 2 sounds better than number 1, you are correct, because number 2 has been mastered. This track should sound a little bit clearer and a little bit punchier than the first one, and I'll show you why. In this track, I mastered it and reduced the volume to match the mix. But it has basically 3 or 4 very important concepts of mastering. And the first one is equalization. The second one is saturation. The third is compression. And the fourth one is limiting. So what I've taken with this EQ, I'm going to open it up. And you can see that I reduced the volume slightly by 2 decibels at 200 hertz. And I boosted the high frequencies starting at around 10,000 hertz, 10K, with a boost of around 3 decibels. So I'm going to actually bring this down a little bit. And what that does is it gives more brightness, and it also takes away some of the mud. Because this track was recorded in a room in the Boys and Girls Club, most recordings in rooms usually have a higher frequency of 200 hertz in the samples. So taking out some of those 200 hertz makes the track more balanced and a little bit less muddy. So let's move to the next concept. After equalization, the second thing I added was saturation. This is just a little bit of analog saturation. Back in the olden days, they had tape decks and tape players, and it added some extra fuzz to sounds, and it makes it sound a little bit more thick and full. So this is the same concept. I just added a little bit of saturation, and then I moved into compression. Compression is the third concept here, and basically I set a very, very low ratio. The ratio meaning how much the signal, how much the sound is compressed once it goes beyond the threshold. Basically, compression tames these high peaks and makes things sound round and smooth. Compression during the mastering process is good to have a lower ratio to smooth out some of the peaks but not do anything too drastic. And I just set this one to 1.5. Sometimes you can go to 2-to-1 or maybe even 3-to-1. Depending on the song. And when you play it, you can see that there's a little bit of gain reduction. So you can use different types of compressors. I'm just using all the stock plugins here because this is what comes with Ableton. Okay, and the final process is limiting. Limiting basically is the very high ratio compressor that you add to set your maximum value, your maximum loudness of your track. So I recommend a ceiling of -1 dB. That way you have enough room for peaks if they go a little bit above, and when you upload it online, it won't be as compressed as if you try to go for a very, very, very loud master. You actually want things to be a little bit more dynamic now, so that when they're compressed again with the online platform, your song will sound as good as anything else. So with limiting, I just set my ceiling to -1 dB, and I added enough gain until I started to see this gain reduction meter start to work. So if I play the song here, you can see I'm just getting a little bit of orange right here. So all of these plugins are stock sounds. All these plugins from here are under audio effects. They come with Ableton Live, and you can set these to whatever values you think work with your mix. This one, like I said, I set my EQ because I knew it was recorded in a room. And I did very light compression to the overall mix to get a polished and clean master track. And when I bring my volume now back up to 0, it's going to be very loud. So this is our final mastered track.
Fun time, do 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 do.